teaching you the art of industrial real estate. This is On Air with Team Jensen.
All right, listeners, welcome to episode 9 of On Air with Team Jensen. Today we have another set of brothers with us from XEC. We have Mike and Jim Clifford. Thanks for coming on today with us, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, excited to get you on. You know, I have to say, with the K-State gear, it's nice as a Mizzou fan, we finally have the upper hand. But
Oh, man.
just
Brutal.
jump right into it. Yeah, but
Yeah.
Mike just wanted to get some purple in here because
Yeah.
he had seen.
Yeah, you guys have all
he'd seen all the
Jayhawks on
Jayhawks,
show
yeah.
lately.
yeah, oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Now we got a Wildcat. We got to spread it out, spread the
right.
love.
Right.
But no, thanks for coming on with us today and just kind of diving into things. If you guys want to share a little bit about where you're from, your background, and also XEC and that brand and name and kind of what you guys do here in town.
Sure. You want me to go?
Sure.
So we're both brothers, obviously, just like you guys. Really similar upbringing and set of brothers situation too, because you guys are 2 of 3, right?
We're 2 of 4.
2 of 4.
Two of three brothers,
2 of 3
and then we
brothers,
have
right.
our fourth sibling's our older sister. Yeah.
Okay, so we're 2 of 3, just brothers. Our other brother, much like what you guys say, is probably the cooler one. He's a great golfer. He's in the insurance business, and just a really fun guy. But we just grew up together at Overland Park, Kansas. Came through school here, went to K-State, and we both got construction science degrees. We didn't start working together until
2013.
What's your guys' age gap?
3 years.
3 years. Okay.
And just got in 2013, he joined up with XEC, 3 months before I did?
Yeah, it was July of 2013.
Okay, so younger brother was there first.
Yep.
Same.
I forget
Yeah.
that you kind of recruited him over. I forgot
Yep.
about that. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, so before that, I was at Conrath Group, the Conrath Group. They're a construction management firm, small group here in Kansas City. The way I got connected with them was I graduated college in 2009, which was a great time to go into construction. That's sarcasm, by the way. So I had taken a job my first semester of my senior year. I did the interviews, accepted a position with a company called, the Phoenix Building Group, I think it was.
Okay.
But the week I graduated, they called and said, I no longer have a job for you. So that was just rough, professional.
Welcome
start.
to the real world.
Yeah. So I went and did. I just went back to the department head of the construction science department and said, explained my position, and he connected me with the Conrath Group. I did an interview, and my first job was actually technically an internship. They were like, we don't necessarily need somebody full time.
Right.
And after a couple months, we changed that, and then I was off and running slowly in the construction business.
Were you starting in like a project management role, or were you estimating? Or
No,
were you just-
assistant superintendent in the field.
Okay.
So we did, the first job was the 3rd and 4th floor renovation of, 12th and Cherry, not the big jail, not the federal jail, but what do they call it? The Jackson County Detention Center, I think is what it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was just, the second guy on site, just doing whatever needed to be done to help the construction
Probably
site
an
move along.
interesting site to be on from the get-go. I would
It was,
imagine.
yeah.
Yeah.
Whole different ball game. So worked there a couple years, 4 years, and then Jim went on to XEC, and what they were doing at XEC, it's called mission critical construction, which I had no idea what that even was, but it sounded really interesting that it was a niche business focusing on one type of construction, doing work all over the country. And what mission critical construction is essentially work on a building where the construction you're doing cannot hinder the ongoing operation of the building. So like in our world, in the telecom industry, we'll be expanding or upgrading a facility, and you can't just turn the lights off in a building that's processing all the cell phone traffic in a city.
Right.
So it's really careful, methodical, risk averse construction, and that's what they were doing. And I had at that point become project manager, estimator, and they needed an estimator. So interviewed and came on board with XEC, and since then it's just been an awesome ride working with Jim and kind of starting off as just one of the guys just trying to do my little part, and now we're running the operation, and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, do you guys, are you in similar roles, the two of you, or do you guys work in tandem quite a bit?
Not really. I'm still on the project side, so I'm a senior project manager for us,
Okay.
and have been for a little while now. He's vice president and lead estimator as well. So
Okay.
kind of separated, but those two, I don't know, they combine a lot. We have
Crossover
to converse
a lot.
quite a bit. So yeah,
Yeah, it's some people use the analogy of like I catch them, you cook them type of thing. So
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And it's definitely not just the two of us. We have a really strong team, a strong team that's growing. A lot of good guys and gals that help us out, and so in estimating, we've got an estimator is just incredible. The guy can take on
Yeah.
you know Alex.
Yeah.
And so we have a great team to go out and get projects, and then Jim really heads up the team that goes and executes projects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys have people all over the country as far as superintendents and
We do.
markets that you're pulling some of those guys from, and how do you find some of those guys when you're in a new market, or are they all relationship based referrals, or are you guys putting out open advertisements for positions like that?
Yeah, so the full-time traveling superintendent is a hard guy to
Tough
find.
to find.
No doubt.
So a lot of different ways. So we try to have a really active LinkedIn presence, and that's more of a last 6-month deal. We've tried to ramp that up just so that there's something live out there representing us to anybody who might be interested in looking at our company. Sometimes we'll go through recruiters, because usually a traveling superintendent who has mission critical construction experience is very sought after, because it's just a unique individual. So sometimes go through recruiters, and then also through some of our better subcontractors in regions. They might refer us to a guy who wants to start traveling,
Right.
who's interested in transitioning from the subcontract side of the business to general contracting and construction management of the whole project type of thing. So we've been connected with some people through that too.
Yeah, there's been a time or two where we've, grabbed a foreman from an electrical contractor we've been working with that is solid, and we started talking with them, and they got interested in what we do. So I think we've got one or
Right.
two of those.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, the mission critical industry is an interesting one that I don't think a lot of the general public has a real full understanding on. You mentioned having to have the ongoing construction with keeping the building operation going, but what a lot of people don't realize is if that building goes down or that operation goes down, that major corporation is losing potentially millions by the minute, and
Right.
so it's obviously a very high pressure job at times, I would imagine, and very process oriented.
It is. Yeah, the preparation that goes into what we do is second to none. I used to do a lot of healthcare construction, and it's similar. We would do projects at the Conrath Group where you might be renovating, I don't know, a surgical pathology center that's right next to where they're doing surgeries. So you have to be very careful. You can't be knocking dust off the ceiling when
Right.
there's a surgery going on in the next room. So I learned that there, but sometimes it's that times two in a data center environment, because you might be working on a room that houses all of the servers in a facility and what the servers are doing is processing critical communications, and your client can't have those servers go down because it affects their business, because their clientele, their phones don't work, but
Well,
they also get fined.
they have
Right.
service agreements with their customers that
Exactly.
they
And
will
reputations with customers.
they will always
Yeah.
provide runtime and all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
So that's why it's key that our staff is comprised of people who know how to work in these buildings. They're not, they know how to build, but they don't just know how to build. They need to know how to build in these buildings. So they're not just blow and go. And
Well, and you have to have an extra element of attention to detail and care for what you're doing and awareness, obviously.
Yeah. Are there any active projects you guys can talk about that will kind of give more color to what you guys do?
Yeah.
Yeah,
In general terms, we can definitely talk about our projects.
yeah, not specific clients, but
Like a lot of telecom, you're saying
Yeah.
data center.
There-
Are there other critical type or construction projects that? Because it's all kind of new to me. I'm just curious.
right now it's primarily telecom providers. So we've got, I mean, we are spread all over the place right now from coast to coast. We've got, I don't know, I'd probably call it 5 premier projects that are going on that are similar, part of a similar program, that are major existing facility renovations for a telecom provider that we're kind of getting towards the tail end of all of them now.
Okay.
But it's major mechanical upgrades in the way of cooling for a new data space and major electrical upgrades in the way of new utilities backed up by standby generators to protect that server room, make sure it never loses power, never loses cooling. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, the things that drive our projects are just the constant need for more power and cooling. The newer equipment that makes, everything, if we have a phone going here, if you're on Instagram, you're streaming video, and there's more and more video streaming going on. Just everybody's using their phones more, so the competition between the telecom leaders in the country, that drives work into this, and the servers they're installing, need more power. They let off more heat, so the room will need more cooling, and so the constant upgrades and maintenance, and just making sure that the building they have that is their network in that given area is powerful and efficient.
What major metropolitan areas are you guys in right now from a project standpoint?
So we've got Milwaukee, we've got New Orleans, we've got we're in Virginia Beach. Let's see, we're way south in McAllen, Texas.
Sacramento.
Sacramento.
Yeah.
That's kind of the bigger ones at the moment. Am I missing one?
We're definitely missing one.
Oh, Oklahoma City as well.
Okay. Have you've done some Kansas City work as well in the similar world, right?
Yep. Kansas City, if we would love to be doing way more work in Kansas City, but being primarily focused in the telecom industry, there's only ever going to be so much work to do in Kansas City. So we really follow the work, and it just moves about. We've had years where a big chunk of our work was in the Boston, Massachusetts area for a couple years, bigger than it was here in Kansas City or in any other market, and then that has since transitioned to being spread out between the markets we just spoke about. We're gearing up to do a bunch more in the Sacramento area and Salt Lake City. That's another market that we're in a big way.
Now, are you guys working directly with a lot of the telecom providers, or are there, a little bit of this and that, like with contractors, or I'm sure there's some third parties that are running the show on some of the sites, or is it just kind of all the?
We always work directly for the provider.
Okay.
And sometimes it's in a general contractor role, and other times it's in a construction manager role.
Okay.
And a lot of people see those as one and the same, but general contractor, I would say, is when we're going out and competing against a couple other GCs, maybe 4 or 5 other GCs to win the project, and our work begins from the point we bid the job, win it, and then we go. In the construction management role, we'll get involved earlier in the project, and while the design is completed, we'll help the architectural engineering team and the client kind of inject constructability into their project, help with value engineering and scheduling and timing and when we need to order long lead equipment, that type of thing.
Right.
So that's more the construction management role, and those are the 2 approaches that we'll take for somebody.
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense. How often do you guys get to physically go out on site? I know you said, Jim, you do more often. Do you still go out and see some of these sites out in like Sacramento and whatnot?
Yeah. So, talk about how often you are.
Yeah, I as an average, I'm probably out to the larger jobs at least once a month. And if it's a super critical time period of a job or just a super critical job, it might be once every other 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So that's a fun part of the job. most of the time it's not fun leaving family at home and,
Right.
and being gone for a few days, but to actually physically get on site and see what we're doing.
After you've reviewed plans for so
Yeah,
long too, it's like,
exactly.
this is actually
Yeah.
the real thing.
That's
Yeah,
really
yeah.
good for like our young guys that are just starting to come into the office and work for a little bit in a PE role. They
Right.
can learn a lot, but when they first get on site, like we have one guy who was in the office for probably a couple months before he hit a site, and in the first week on site, he's like, "Man, I just learned more in the first week here than I did the entire 2 months in the office." But it's enjoyable to get out and see what we're doing, the work we're putting into place, rather than just looking at pictures from daily reports or
Oh yeah.
plans, like you said.
Well,
So-
and that all helps with obviously camaraderie of your
Mhm.
team and your crew and the support with all that.
Yeah, a lot of times the guys we have in the field are our only guy on site, so
Right.
they look forward to just getting out to dinner or something.
Yeah,
after
I
work
saw there
and-
was a little mini grill with a big nice ribeye or
Yeah.
something being cooked
Yeah.
on site.
couple guys up in Milwaukee.
Yep, that was the Milwaukee area.
Yeah, so they're
Those
they're
look
eating
good.
well. They're eating
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
at least. Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
probably our most popular LinkedIn
The
post.
post.
Is just
Yeah.
a couple brilliant
You guys,
steaks.
you guys get some new Glarus when you go up there, like the spotted cow.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
that stuff's awesome.
That's probably become my favorite beer.
Yeah, no,
just
it's
from
hard.
being up
Something
there.
about I don't know if it like I don't know. I've only been up there once, and then when I was at Mizzou, I had a buddy that would bring it down
Yep.
often, and I don't know if it's the beer I love so much, or if it's just the fact that I know I can't always have
The
it.
exclusivity
You know what I
of
mean?
it.
It's like
Yeah.
I don't know, but it is a really every time I was there, that's all I drink.
Yep.
So.
It's everywhere up there.
Oh yeah, But,
Yeah.
and it's funny. I think a lot of the locals kind of snicker at how
They do.
Yeah,
They're
all-
definitely proud of it. Yeah.
Well, and they're like, we don't understand why it's such a big deal, but
Oh, right.
Yeah.
we all love
Right,
it.
right.
But that they are proud of it, though.
Yeah, stop by the XCC office. We've got a pretty steady flow.
Yeah.
I don't
There you
know, at
go,
least a
yeah.
Oh, you
case
guys
every
have-
month or two.
Oh,
comes into the
okay.
Yeah,
office.
you got somebody coming back
Yeah.
from there every
Yeah.
now and
That's
again.
good
right?
to know. Good to
Brandon
know.
Bell's he's our supplier.
All right.
Yeah, and they've got their new office space has a little putt-putt course across the floor.
Okay.
So might have to stop in on a Friday
Yeah.
afternoon sometime
Yep.
and
Yeah,
have
that
one.
Sounds ideal.
Yeah,
could
putt-putt,
use-
that doesn't even do it justice either. Everybody calls it putt-putt, but it's pretty live putting, like it's on
Yeah.
a putting green. It'd be like a fast green, probably like
Yeah.
what you see the pros
Yeah.
putt on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At Ben, our floors have such undulation into them. We took what had been an abandoned space for 4 or 5 years, just being overhead friendly, and we just left the floors the way they were, and we ordered furniture that would work with it, and renovated it in a way to where we didn't spend a fortune.
Right.
And a byproduct is floors that have a lot of good slope. to
Now you
them.
got some good break. Yeah. That's funny. Well, so construction management, that was the degree, right?
Yep.
Correct, yep.
Which is obviously very popular with a lot of K-Staters.
K-State has a great construction management program.
Have you guys had a good time or recruiting? I mean, how has that been recruiting some young? I know you had some interns this summer you mentioned, and
Yeah.
has that been good? You've seen some success there.
It's been good. Recruiting has become a big focus of mine as we've started to grow a little bit faster than in recent years. But it's tough. We feel like once we get a recruit's attention and we get them to come visit the office and meet our people and learn our culture, that they just buy in. And I mean, it's they want to join the team and they want to be a part of what we're doing.
Yeah.
But getting their attention in the first place, that is the trick. And so that's part of the LinkedIn presence. We're trying to have a bigger presence on there. But for example, K-State, they set up recruiting to where you make a donation each semester that you do a recruiting event. They'll post not even an advertisement. They just post you on the job board and students can sign up. But in recent years, there's just been diminishing sign-ups on the entire job board. It's like the students aren't using it that much anymore, and I don't know if it's our thought is that people are doing internships and they're just locking in through their internship to where they want to go. So that's why we're kind of ramping up the old internship program again.
Yeah.
But we definitely have good luck when we make the trip and make the connection with somebody. It's just making that initial connection.
You've
That,
done
that
some
we're really working on.
career fairs, boots on the ground out
Yeah.
there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And definitely,
That's
a-
fun.
A few pitchers of beer in Aggieville.
Yeah.
Yeah, that goes a long way.
That helps. Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit earlier too, but the mission critical just not being that well known is huge up there. Every time we've done one of those recruiting trips, it's even the construction science program. Those kids do not really know what it is until we get up there and
It's got to
explain
pique
it.
people's interest, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I would
it does.
think.
Once we explain what it is and we finally get someone engaged, then, like Mike said, they typically buy in and want to know more about it, and we get them on board. But
Well,
it's not well known.
yeah, even off the cuff, to me, it just sounds way more interesting than a general contractor talking about buildings.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, like, it is. And I am curious, are there any projects that you can point your finger to that, or just describe that were like very cool projects that you got to be a part of? Because, I mean, I imagine you guys have done some pretty intense and pretty massive stuff.
Yeah, we should talk about what we did up in the Boston area. We had, oh gosh, when we started in 2013, we were pretty small, and at times we were even as small as probably 11 or 12 people, maybe even less than that. We might have been at 10 at some point.
I mean, how many are you today?
We're in the 20 to 30 range typically. And so, but back when we were that small, we were going after, just projects that we felt like were well within our wheelhouse, and so smaller projects. I mean, our projects were not anything huge, but they're good projects. It's good work. And we decided to go after some bigger and bigger projects with a client that was starting to let us do bigger projects for them. And so we went after those types of projects times about 3 with one project in the Boston area. And we were up against the likes of, like, what was it, Turner, Walsh, and some of the other
big boys.
firms,
Yeah.
huge firms,
Bigger than us, for
national
sure,
presence.
Hundreds of people,
Yeah.
thousands.
But we figured out, we're not like David against Goliath, but we have a small group of people that are 100% specialized in mission critical construction, and that group of people to a client, that's the group that's going to run your project wherever it is in the country. And our clients are starting to get that, because the bigger competitors of ours, they might have, if you're in New Orleans, they might have their New Orleans office working on it, and they might not even have mission critical people.
Right.
And then when you go do one in Philadelphia or wherever else, you're not getting consistency of outcome from one location to the next like you can get through XCC. So the project specifically is what you're getting at. It was just a big, like I would call it an internal expansion and a power and cooling upgrade to a facility that basically allowed that client to probably double what their building could do for that area. And in the telecom world, you see the advertisements for the next G level that's coming out. And so it was a part of allowing that client to service more clients faster and install their servers that can process the data faster. I say it was an internal expansion because we gutted an area of a building that was all cubes and had been an admin area, basically. And gutted it as in took the walls out, took the ceilings out, even took the concrete slab out.
Wow.
So that we could get underground. And if you can imagine the buildings with this kind of power feeding server racks, there's a ton of underground and overhead infrastructure. So
There was miles and miles of underground conduit on that.
yeah. And so it was a cool project from my point of view, because I got to go compete against the biggest and even beat out like the incumbents who had been doing work for this client in the area. So it was going against those guys and beating them. And Jim ran the project. He can tell you a lot more about it than I can.
It was huge for me. It was at that time we had done some work for this client that I had an opportunity to go run it, some smaller project leading up to this one, and they all went really well. This group up there was really just solid to work with, good people. The subs we found up there, the relationships we built with them, just grew and grew and grew, and they're still solid today. Which, going back to something that the fact that we don't do the Kansas City work, it's been something that's always kind of bothered me a little bit, because we are a contractor in Kansas City, but those relationships with Kansas City contractors are just not well built because we don't do a lot around here. But
that makes sense.
in the Boston area, we kind of have those as if we're a local GC up there. So, we had this opportunity for one project with them that turned into a couple. other decent ones, and then we got this big one that Mike's talking about. And for me, it wasn't, I wasn't scared of it, but it was a bigger project than we had ever done as a company. So we just saw it as a huge opportunity. We had a superintendent who had, just tremendous experience, who came on board a couple years before. He and I had a great relationship, and we took it and ran with it. It was a great learning experience, great opportunity that we, came through for successful major expansion for that facility. And it was just a great opportunity for us.
And if I remember correctly, that was kind of the launching pad for what got you guys in on a lot of future, at least getting looks at a lot of future work for some of that continued expansion.
It was a type of project that they had never allowed us to do before. So the fact that we did it, we knocked it out, and since then we've gotten to look at numerous other ones
now that
of that
project,
scale.
it doesn't even look big anymore.
Right.
I mean, that was
Perspective changes.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just one of a bunch of projects. So it's been fun. It took us to a next level at that time for sure.
Yeah, a big catalyst for you guys. That's good.
Yeah.
Well, and so, like, how long, like, from the start of physically being on site doing things to then being done and off site, what's a timeline for you on a big project like that look like?
That one was 13 months.
Okay.
But I would say just a common project for us it's kind of hard to say that. We have projects that are really quick hit, really critical, cooling upgrade type projects that might be 3 months.
Okay.
And then we have some that might be a couple years.
Oh yeah.
So-
Well, especially with nowadays, with what happened, stemming from all of with what happened to long lead equipment. So generators went from taking 20 to 30 weeks, worst case scenario, to at one point in time it's about 100 weeks to get a generator. So in recent years, projects are longer than they should ever be because of that.
Right.
So to answer the question though, it's hard to say because we will do projects that are 2-week-long projects and we'll do 3-year-long projects. So and everything in between. But the project like what we're talking about, that one was 13, 14 months.
Yeah.
Well, because site-specific circumstances are so different too, from an infrastructure standpoint. I mean, you guys might get into one where you've got months of demo or cleanup before you can even get to the upgrade piece of it. Whereas some you might not have as much retrofit work, so you can get more into it quickly, and so it probably varies pretty drastically from project to project. But
And being existing buildings that we're upgrading, it's always a custom build.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and I am curious. So back the Boston building, was that like an office building or what? Like, is it?
When we started, it was half office, half call it data center. They don't call them data centers, but half the building's job was to process data. The other half was to house people that were making phone calls and doing their day-to-day job. And now, gosh, when we did that, it's basically all data processing now.
Yep.
well, most of these buildings are big, nondescript bunker type buildings,
Right.
with no windows.
Well, I'm just curious because I know there's a couple buildings in downtown Kansas City that are older office buildings that you wouldn't necessarily know it, but I'm told they're just big server buildings. It's just, it's kind of wild to think about just like tearing out all the floor and ceiling and just like having like floors of a building that's just like all opened up. Like,
Oh yeah, there's a very I would say innovative company called Neutrality, and we haven't done work for them yet. We'd love to be working for them, but they have 1102 Grand that from the outside looks like one of these really old school office building towers, and I mean it's filled with data processing equipment. It's a very critical building.
That's like the fiber hub of Kansas City, isn't
Yeah,
it? I
yeah.
mean, it all comes through that building.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
And their Neutrality's new facilities out by your guys' old spot, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
and
79.
that's the co-location world of data centers. They're more of their mindset is to advertise their data centers more. So those are a little less nondescript than the telecom industry.
Right.
Similar on the inside though.
That makes sense.
now, do you guys do any work? Have you gotten into any work with like the government or anything with some of the agencies or some
No.
of their infrastructure
Nope.
and things like that?
We haven't.
Is that an onion you want to peel at all, or not? You guys kind of like where you're at and want to grow that?
So we like where we're at, but we don't want that to be the only place where we are at. We're definitely going to diversify, and there's other markets that that feel like better fits for us. Because our team is built of guys who know how to handle very careful, cautious, efficient construction. So work like healthcare construction would be an avenue that we might take someday, because our people, if you can keep a data center clean while you expand it, then you can definitely keep a
Right.
wing of a hospital that you're working on
The
clean as
critical
well.
nature of it, yeah, yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
There could be more opportunities in Kansas City too for stuff like that. you
There
know?
could. We
Yeah.
definitely want to grow in Kansas City. I mean, our ultimate goal is to be the best mission critical builder. We don't want to be the biggest. And if we're really going to call ourselves the best, we need to be dominating Kansas City.
fair.
From
Yeah.
mission critical construction. We
It's fair.
definitely do
Right.
not do that right now. So.
Okay.
Did you guys have some hurdles, like as far as getting licensed in specific markets to, get a job there? I'm sure you had to get. That's obviously one of the first things you got to do when you're pursuing a job, right?
Yeah. We're licensed. We could work just about anywhere in the U.S. There's a handful of states that we can't, but there's, I don't want to say.
Like you don't have to have a brick and mortar somewhere to be licensed.
No,
so, yeah.
no.
It's a very small hurdle. to
Yeah,
get over
it's
and
it's a
everything.
fairly simple one to accomplish. There's a national accredited general contractor license that you can do that'll help you'll get licenses within. I want to say it helps you in a big way in about 16 states, and we
Gotcha.
have most all of those. And there's a lot of states that you don't have to be licensed in. So
Okay.
Is California a little trickier? Just out of curiosity.
California is probably the trickiest one.
I had
They're just difficult with everything.
I
Yeah.
kind of imagine.
It's kind of California, Florida, and actually Massachusetts is not a state that requires a license, but they require a construction supervisor's certification or license. I don't remember what they call it, but those are probably the three toughest
Yeah.
of the ones that we have anyway. So
Yeah, we knew California was really tough to get. So for a few years there, we had clients asking us to do work for them in California, and we kept saying, we're just not licensed yet, but
can't
it
yet.
is, it's on the horizon.
Right.
But it was a big commitment to spend the to dedicate labor to go study for and pass the test that you need to pass to be state licensed in California. But once we did it, gosh, we probably should have done it sooner.
Well, yeah, it
It's been a
sounds like
great state
Sacramento.
for us.
Yeah, it sounds like
Yeah.
Sacramento's going well for you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that as far as the markets you're in today? Is there one in particular where you see more? You named Sacramento, but where you see more of your future growth coming?
Not necessarily a market, because we'll follow the work.
Okay.
And with the nature of the clients who we work for, they have facilities in every major city, and so they'll focus on where they have a need, and we'll follow that need. So not necessarily specific to one market. Besides Kansas City, we will focus on having a bigger presence in Kansas City.
So has there ever been I have to ask, and maybe I shouldn't, but has there ever been a time where our phones weren't working and you guys were to blame?
No,
There has not.
It's actually, that does happen on site because we hear about it and we hear complaints about other people, but no, never on our watch.
Yeah.
Absolutely not.
Good answer.
Yeah,
I
mean, it would be apparent, and it would be, you do hear about it happening. I mean,
Yeah.
it's probably
Yeah.
3-4 times a year you hear about one of the providers
Yeah.
having an issue somewhere.
Yeah.
Usually the issues you hear about, though, are somebody dug through a fiber line,
Right.
and it's not anywhere near the buildings we're working on. It's like somebody who's not even working for the provider
Right,
who didn't know that
right.
was there, made
Right.
a mistake.
Yeah. Someone who should have been checking lines and didn't.
Right. Or somebody who had them checked, and the guy who checked them didn't know what he was doing.
Yeah.
Well, Kurt, these guys might be the only two brothers in Kansas City that work together and live closer than you and I do.
Yeah, how far are you?
Are you guys close?
We're about about a mile away, but it doesn't. Jim not too large. Was it who was first? I can't remember.
Jim,
I was
he's
first.
a trailblazer.
Yeah.
Jim
Just
moved
follow
in.
him.
Jim moved in next door too.
No, Jim moved in
Oh, we're not
first.
gonna be-
I
you
moved
moved
in
in
next
next
door.
door.
Just following little brother.
Yeah,
around,
everywhere.
basically.
We've got about maybe 200 feet, so we're
Oh yeah.
Well, clearly things at work are going pretty well. If you're willing to move next door, you don't need too much.
It's probably easy to commute too if you feel the need to, or if you got to get your car worked on. That's
yeah. Every
commute.
now and then the oil change is always a hey, come
Yeah,
pick
that's
me up.
just
But
clutch for oil change.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. And you guys have kids that are close in age, right?
Yep.
We do.
Yep.
So Jim's got Bo, who's right in the middle of my 4.
He's
There you
almost
go.
5. So
There you go.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
So
It's fun.
It's awesome. The kids have a blast. If I could share a video that tells the story of our kids, when the week we moved in, at the time 3, my oldest 2 went over to hang out with Bo at his house, and my daughter Grace was just having a ball playing with Bo, and what was it? Mom was over there, and she was the one that told Grace it's time to go home, and she was filming Grace, and she just had the saddest look on her face, just stood there, and now she realizes
Time to
just
walk
going
across the
next
yard.
door,
Yeah.
going that far.
You'll see them again soon.
Yeah. They love it.
You guys just build one fence and not have the fence in between, just share yard.
We can
We
be
should
more
have.
Or
efficient.
one of those fancy dividers that
Oh, yeah, have you
flips
seen
down.
that turn into a bar? Even?
So that was like the first project we talked about doing. We still haven't done that.
yeah,
Is the fence bar.
I think
Well,
our
it's-
wives think we have more important projects than the
Yeah.
fence bar to be working on.
Right.
Well, and it's not very mission critical. There's other.
No,
yeah.
more important things. We do share a lawnmower. That's
Yeah.
That's
an
helpful.
efficiency.
Yeah, there you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
Stuart went out and bought a nice John Deere when he first got his big yard, and
He's asked me to drive it to his house.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's a
I'm
little-
not-
it's
I'm
a little
not
far.
driving.
and my yard.
What'd you get? A sit-on standard?
Oh yeah, I wasn't walking my ass around our 3/4 of an acre. Yeah, too many leaves in Leewood to yeah.
But did you get the old school sit-on where? Like,
Oh yeah, I've got the steering.
wheel in front?
Oh, yeah, I don't
That's-
even know how to use those
Yeah.
those zero turns.
You got the
I don't-
cup holder. and
Oh
everything?
yeah. Oh the beer. Yeah, the beer stays cold right there.
He's a very proud owner. Like when
Oh, you
I
have
love
to
it.
be.
It's
you
it's
get
my
on those
time.
things and you're just chest out. You're
Yeah.
the
Oh
proudest guy
yeah,
in the neighborhood.
throwing the headphones, wave it. You know,
Oh,
the
yeah.
wife and kids.
Nobody's
just,
even looking at you.
I'll see you in 2 hours.
You're in a parade. Yeah.
like I think he already did a lap right there.
Right. Yeah, no. Well, I know you guys have enjoyed working with each other, and Kurt and I certainly have too. And I enjoyed getting to know you guys, and over the years. And
Well, yeah. Explain to the listeners some of how you.
yeah,
got to
so
know
I
XCC
got to
guys.
know Mike and Jim because of my previous job, where I was working for one of the manufacturers that provides the precision cooling equipment for these data center and mission critical applications that these guys purchase and then and get installed and upgraded in these facilities. And so I was the one that they were banging on the phone to when lead times were 55 weeks.
You kidding me, Stuart?
You guaranteed
So,
this 2 months ago.
Stuart is a very good salesman. We had,
Fantastic.
gosh, when you came here, I don't know how many units we had on order from you. But
I know we booked a bunch of orders and then I kind of pieced, but
Yeah, you had us worried for a while.
that
They're
the
doing
lead.
all right without you.
That's good. Yeah, the lead time, for 18 months there, I was just the bearer of bad news. Every time I picked up the phone, I
Yeah.
was, and people used to build their construction schedules around our delivery timeframes, and so it was just, it was trying for a while there. It sounds like you guys are through it, and it sounds like customer expectations have adjusted too, to at least alleviate some of those frustrations.
They have,
but-
but you still have to get creative to have long lead times and still get the project done quickly. And so we get real
Definitely.
creative with when we place orders for equipment, and
Right,
we do everything we can to get that stuff.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not through it yet. It's still a huge impact on construction, the lead times. So
What has it changed for you? So do you try and get earlier commitments from clients to get things ordered, or kind of how do you have to go about it?
So we do. There's some stuff that we drive. Like it used to not be that big of a deal to have a procurement schedule and follow that to a T, and your project would go just as planned. And even if things got delayed a little bit, you'd still get them before you need them. But nowadays, gosh, we're doing. You used to go from bid a project, build the schedule, when you bid the project, and see to it that you get the long lead equipment released, in the first third of the job, and you're fine in the last 2/3 to get it and install it. Nowadays, we're talking about buying equipment when the design is at 30% of the way through the design process,
Right.
just so that we know that by the time they make it through the rest of the 70% of the design, we start the project, and a year later,
Right.
that stuff is ready to show up when we're ready to install it.
Yeah.
Which the nice part about working with some of those big clients consistently is that they've got a design that they like, that they lean on, that they've got across multiple facilities. So you feel a little bit more comfortable purchasing some stuff at 30% design, from a hardware standpoint, because customer ultimately kind of knows what they want. But again, site-specific differences. There's hurdles at every site that you got to work through.
We just make it so that we're a very cohesive team with the architect, the engineer, and the owner. By the time we place those orders, they know exactly what they want, and that's what we order.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I'm just hoping they need 20,000 square foot warehouse in every
I was
market.
gonna say, for a second, you started sounding like you were selling them more units. I was like, let's focus on the real estate.
Yeah, no, I know. Dialed it back in.
For a while there, we were talking about, like, why don't we just go order a bunch of this stuff and
Right.
set up
Yeah.
storage
Store it.
and have it just
I
so that
know,
we can
there
stay
was-
efficient. But you couldn't get it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It just wasn't there to go get.
Well,
Yeah.
and I know there's some folks out there that have over ordered out of different industries, but that's
Yeah.
a fear too. You
Better
don't want to
not-
look up and
yeah.
have a bunch of product that you don't need and your customers don't want.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Sitting
a
on
pretty big-
inventory that's
Right.
not going out
cash
the door.
risk.
Technology changes and they no longer need what you have anymore.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
So-
well, yeah. No, it's,
But yeah, no. Or go
I was
ahead.
gonna ask you guys, how long has it been since you came over and you guys been a team working together?
so I joined in May of 2022 last year, so it's been about 15 months. Learning from younger brother. It was a humbling summer last summer, and it took about until this summer to really feel like I knew what I was talking about and could speak some of the lingo in the industry. And now we're going to some broker open houses, and there's even newer guys than me. So and other
you
people
go.
in the industry know who I am. So I'm like, okay, I'm a little bit more established, feeling a little more comfortable. And that was probably the biggest hurdle for me was, just making that jump and starting something new after being in a world long enough that I was established and comfortable. But it's been great, and we've enjoyed working together. And we work with our old man Dan, and that's been fun. And it's been great for me to have some things, that they've got in the pipeline to immediately jump in and get some OJT and really learn right off the bat from an actual deal and see a deal from start to finish. And the biggest difference too was I was kind of selling a captive product at the old job, and here I am like, please let me represent you, like really selling myself to. But so no, it's been different, but it's been really cool. It's been fun.
Yeah.
We've really enjoyed it.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun, and it's honestly been invigorating too. Like, just we've always been close, and my brothers are some of my best friends, but from a competitive standpoint too, I can't have, he's only been here a year. I got to be outperforming him. I got to be bringing in more than he is. So it's been fun, a fun drive, and it's been really fun working together, and just the bandwidth getting even bigger is awesome. And he brings a lot of different personality that I don't to the table, which I think is advantageous for us in Kessinger Hunter. So,
Do you guys go after deals as a team sometimes?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
I mean we work on a lot of stuff together. Yeah,
I guess it is the Team Jensen. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
There's certainly some, there's a lot of opportunities that come into the company as a whole too. And we have an industrial group of 10 guys or so. And so there's times where, Kurt's working on some things that I'm not involved in and stuff like that. But, when we're turning over stones and looking for new opportunities, we're really kind of doing that in tandem and knowing that we're working on some things together. And,
But yeah, in Kessinger Hunter, really, the industrial team here, I think it's pretty unique, really, in any market in Kansas City too. But it's cheesy, but we treat each other fairly. And if we run into a deal together with someone else in the office, we work on it 50-50, and we work together, and we utilize our relationships, where we can, and benefit from it as much as we can. So we like doing the brother stuff, but sometimes he's working with someone else or I'm working with someone else.
Well,
but-
and sometimes we get, with a client or a prospect, and it's like, okay, this person keeps like reaching back out to me. Clearly they like me. Like just stand over there.
There have been
Kurt.
people that I chased for like 6-7 years, and Stuart walks in within a year, and he's like their best friend. And I'm like,
And they're
you know
like
what?
texting me.
I'm not gonna take it personal, but like, just this is
Hey,
working.
it's
So
okay.
What's the age gap between you guys?
We're 2 years. Yeah.
2 years.
a
Okay.
little more than 2.
A little over 2. A little over 2. 2 years of school. Yeah. We were
No,
just
like-
two apart, but
Yeah.
And
Kurt?
both MU?
both Tigers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you start right out of school, Kurt?
Yeah, I jumped in right out of school. I laughed, but I wanted to go on a trip like later in the summer, and my dad was like, if you're gonna come to work here and you want to go on that trip, you gotta be here like on Monday. And I walked on a Sunday, so I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to work. But it's been awesome. It's been a lot of fun. It's been almost 8 years now. So
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's crazy.
So how is it with so Dan, Dad?
Yeah.
We don't have that situation at work.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that like working with your dad? Is he boss and dad separately, or do you get a little bit of both at all times?
It's pretty blended all the time.
yeah, even growing up, it almost felt a little
and-
like boss.
Yeah.
too.
And these two are kind of like this, very similar, and I'm kind of the peacemaker at times.
That's how it was growing up at baseball practice.
Yeah,
too.
Kurt had a hard time taking constructive criticism.
Hey, whoa, okay, shots fired.
Hey, I'm from Dad growing up. That's all I'm saying. But and it's funny. Kurt and I have a pretty good yin and yang. He's certainly more analytical than I am. But just back to that relationship point. We hit on things differently and view things differently. And I think he and my dad are a little bit more similarly minded. And so I'm just hopeful that I can continue to bring a different viewpoint on some things. But working with Dan is great. I mean, he's brings a lot of opportunity for us, and he's a great mentor, and he does a lot of the development stuff for Kessinger Hunter. Just is in the final stages of wrapping up a big Cargo Largo project out there on Nolan Road, a big 550,000 square foot
Oh, wow.
production and warehouse facility and everything. So he gets into the major stuff, and we get to kind of learn from him. It's been cool.
Yeah, no, we're blessed to get to work and learn from him, and he's been a great mentor for us, and it's pretty awesome. We get to. And it's been one of the fun things about doing the podcast. Candidly, is we're gonna have that forever that we can look back on and enjoy with him.
Yeah,
So
that's
for
true.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Did you guys play sports together growing up?
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Baseball and football.
Nice. And
Yeah.
no basketball?
We were short.
I was the better basketball
We
player.
were short. I was really
were
I was
short?
really good at every part of basketball that didn't involve the ball. So I was the type. I was the defender that would pick your pocket and then go dribble down and brick the layup. So neither of us played high school basketball. We hung up the sneakers before high school.
My 8th grade coach said I should have.
Oh yeah. Well, one last thing I want. You guys mentioned on Kansas City and your focus on wanting to grow here more locally. I have to imagine with some of the telecom work and that world, and like things like the World Cup and those major items coming to Kansas City in the future.
Ballpark.
Yeah, like a new downtown ballpark. I mean, just as even Kansas City gets more dense, like some of these other metropolitan areas, I have to think some of these telecom providers are going to be looking to beef stuff up locally.
Yeah,
What do you
they
think?
definitely will. It's just the more people, the more clientele they have, the more power and cooling and
Right.
just square footage they need. So it will drive some, but it's not, there's not I don't see it being huge. It'll lead to a handful of projects.
Okay.
We really need to branch out in Kansas City to different clientele and just diversify ourselves a little bit that way.
Yeah, and another question I just thought of: how far out, demand-wise, do these customers or clients of yours? How far out do they have to prepare and plan? Like
Forecast.
you know
for
what I
that.
mean? Like, what's their
Oh.
forecast and vision? Are they 5-10 years ahead of things, or what?
So we're not part of those studies they do, but we do know. I mean, they're doing studies as they have to. So, like, if you were going to make an investment of, say, I don't know, say the investment doesn't matter actually. Your business, if you know you want to support, this new technology you're going to roll out, and you feel like that's going to bring in this much more clientele, then you need to ramp up your abilities in that market, and
Right.
and so that's the the need is we need to install these, and so they look at that, and we know they have, gosh, 2 to 5 year plans at minimum. I bet they go past that, just because they're extremely savvy companies that work
Right.
for it.
And,
So
it's such a long, can be such a long process.
yeah,
too.
and so if the project is going to take, if it takes 100 weeks,
100
it feels like 100 years. If it takes that
Some
long to
do.
get a generator, and you need you need the building that generator is going to provide backup power to up and running, in 3 years, or you need to service those new
Right,
clientele in 3
right.
years. You got to get going now. So they're always working on designs and upgrades, or designs for upgrades for their facilities, and they just kind of pick and choose how soon they need to roll that out based on what
Well,
the studies tell
I'm
them.
sure with your guys' developed relationships over the years on these successful projects that you guys get some whispers on some things that you need to start looking at or start, looking into, start engaging in some conversations on, an upcoming project or things to be looking out for from a bid perspective or what might be coming down the pipeline.
Yeah, we'll get, like, every once in a while you get a call and say, we wanted to talk to you about the next program of projects that we're going to be doing. And so
Right.
we just want to give you a high level view of it so that not only can you get prepared to help us out with that effort, but we also want to know, speaking as a client, we want to know what your capacity is so that
Right.
we know,
Right.
If you're going to be enough,
You're
or
gonna have a
you
seat at
plus
the
these
table.
other 4
Yeah.
are going to be
Right.
enough. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
those are the types of things.
That's cool. Yeah. Nice.
Well, thanks again for
Yeah,
coming on
thanks for
with
coming
us.
on. Thanks for
We
having us.
appreciate
Thanks for
it.
having
it was
us.
fun.
I guess the last takeaway, if anyone wants to reach out and learn more about XEC or get in contact with you, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Really, gosh, email me. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a traveling superintendent, wanting to go do mission critical construction, yeah, email me. So my email is mmc@xeccinc.com. Everybody misses the middle C.
The middle, yeah.
And if you're on the phone, everybody thinks I work for the SEC.
Yep.
And so
Hang out.
yeah, the
XEC.
yeah, email's best, but we're on LinkedIn. Our website's out there too. It's just the xeccinc.com.
Cool.
But yeah.
And stop
Way to
by
do it.
South Lake if you want to hit some breaking putts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lenexa, Kansas. One thing I want to do is I want to start challenging other companies to come to our office and putt against the
Yeah.
likes of
We've
our
had a lot of practice.
project
I don't-
managers.
Make it a part of the bid package.
Yeah.